I'm here living the dream, or is it the nightmare, in January 2023. In this episode, I was supposed to be taking you for the first trip report on board a British Airways Airbus A350-1000 from London Heathrow across to Phoenix in Arizona. However, in true British Airways fashion, they cancelled my flight from Glasgow down to Heathrow, and that means I'm going absolutely nowhere today. So come and join me as this episode turns into something like Abandoned by BA 2.0, and I make alternative arrangements to get across to Phoenix. Hi, I'm Graham, and this is my wife Fiona, and we have always had a work hard, play hard philosophy. From London to New York, and of course the Caribbean, we live our dream through travel. And of course, the odd cocktail. And here on YouTube, we create our memories while living our dream. So come and join us as we share our memories with you. It is just after 9 a.m. on Monday morning, and right now I should have been in a taxi to Glasgow Airport. But that's the flight that British Airways have cancelled. When things go rough for that airline, they simply start cancelling their UK domestic and inter-European services. So as it sits right now, I am trying to make alternative arrangements to get across to Phoenix later today. That ain't happening, so at the very earliest I can get to Phoenix tomorrow at lunchtime. I should explain that I didn't receive a text or an email from British Airways saying the flight had been cancelled. As a Bronze Executive Club member, I am able to reserve my seats free of charge 7 days in advance. So I'd logged in this morning to reserve a seat on the flight back from Phoenix in 1 week's time. And it was when I logged into the website, there was a big banner message across the top saying, "We're sorry, we've cancelled your flight." And it was the sector from Glasgow down to London that they cancelled, which means I cannot connect with the flight to Phoenix. The bottom line is, guys, I'm not flying to Phoenix today. As a United Kingdom based airline, British Airways don't have all of their call centres here in the UK. But the bottom line is, even when you call them, they're too busy to take your call and you need to call back later. And there's also nothing I can do online because at the moment, the rebooking that they've made for me tomorrow is all very provisional. But the great news is, guys, I didn't book this direct with British Airways online. I used a travel agent, and that's the fantastic thing because the travel agents can do things that you simply can't do here online. And I'm so glad that I did for this trip. As it sits right now, British Airways have provisionally moved me to the 0605 flight from Glasgow tomorrow morning, and then the 0905 American Airlines service from London Heathrow T3 across to Phoenix. Now, to be honest, guys, I just think the same thing's going to happen tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be left stranded again today. So I've already spoken to the travel agent who's on his route into work right now, and he is going to try and get me on to the 1540 service in Glasgow down to London this afternoon, and then that 0905 American service to Phoenix tomorrow morning, which will get me into Phoenix at lunchtime, which isn't too bad. And I'm only going to lose really 1 morning of my business trip. By the power of video, I'll come back to you in a few seconds and let you know how I get on. Right guys, quick update. That is my itinerary now fixed, changed. I'm going to jump in a taxi very shortly down to Glasgow Airport. I've got to get there really early because the ticketing issue with British Airways is causing my travel agent a bit of a problem. So I'm going to go down to Glasgow Airport. I'm going to fly down to London this evening. I've just booked into a Premier Inn on Bath Road in Hounslow for tonight. And then I'm getting the 905 American Airlines service across to Phoenix, which will be a trip report in the next episode. So for now, I'm just going to get out of the house, get down to Glasgow Airport and try and get a flight down to London tonight and at least be ready for my transatlantic tomorrow. My taxi arrived bang on 11 a.m. and had me disembarked heading towards Terminal M at Glasgow International Airport just before midday. I do think it is important to point out that my original flight down to London Heathrow was cancelled due to fog in the London area. And while modern aircraft can land in near zero visibility, the arrival flow into London Heathrow would have been heavily restricted this morning, so I don't blame British Airways for cancelling the flight. However, my frustration with British Airways was due to the fact that I was originally booked on the 8:35 service down to London this morning, and they decided to change that departure to the 11:40 flight, citing it as the best connection possible to make my flight to Phoenix. But the challenge, of course, was the 1 hour and 10 minutes connection time between flights, leaving me absolutely no wiggle room in the event we countered problems, just like we did this morning. Because I was flying in the Club Europe cabin, I would be going straight to the priority check-in line. The lovely British Airways staff issued me with boarding passes, not just for the flight down to London this afternoon, but also my American Airlines service first thing tomorrow morning, which will of course feature in the next episode. And little did I know that the boarding pass that they issued me for the American Airlines service to Phoenix tomorrow was invalid. But if you tune in to the next episode, you will of course find out more. With my checked bag en route to the hold in the aircraft, it was time for me to head to the priority security lane. And now would be a great time to remind you to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when my next video is published, where you can continue to follow me going solo on this Wild West adventure. At this point, I was just over 2 hours early for my flight, and as a result, I was heading to the British Airways Terrace Lounge. Basically, that's the business class lounge which I had access to because I was travelling in the Club Europe cabin. And I visited this lounge many times on the channel, so I'm going to jump straight to the boarding process. I've been asked many times if I think British Airways Club Europe is worth the additional cost. My simple answer to this question is no, it's certainly not. But accessing the lounge prior to your flight is a pretty good bonus. And being in Group 1 and therefore the first to board the aircraft, which is also pretty sweet if you've got hand baggage that needs stored in the overhead compartment. But as you can see, the fairly new Airbus A320neo that soon would be taking us down to London Heathrow was pulling up to stand 19 here at Glasgow. And shortly after this very full flight boarded, I was sitting comfortably in seat 3A as we push back, heading for London Heathrow. At the end of the day, guys, you've all seen me do plenty of reviews of this Club Europe product on board British Airways in the past. And you will have already heard me whinge and complain about the food options or a lack of it. And this flight was no different. I simply took the chocolate cake and a coffee. The cold salmon sandwich simply didn't float my boat. Anyway, we cruised at 36,000 feet, heading southeast across the Midlands in the direction of London. And today we'd be making our approach over the City of London westbound towards runway 27 right at London Heathrow Airport. And here you can clearly see the low-lying cloud or the fog that blanketed the southeast of England, causing mayhem to London Heathrow Airport throughout the day.
To London Heathrow Terminal 5. The time is 20 to 5 in the afternoon. Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened and the fasten seatbelt signs have been switched off. When it is safe to do so, please take care when opening the overhead lockers. Translators may have moved and could pull out and cause injury. You may now make and receive calls as well as use all data services on your handheld electronic devices. If your journey ends here at Heathrow, please follow the yellow signs for arrivals. On arrival for a smoother journey through the UK border, please be ready with all your documentation. If you are connecting onto another flight from Heathrow today, please check the information screens for your departing gate number. If the gate number is not yet displayed, please follow the purple signs for flight connections.
You know guys, in reality that wasn't a bad flight at all. The British Airways product itself isn't that exciting, and their Club Europe business class product is pretty uninspiring and overpriced, if I'm being completely honest. So as we approached Terminal 5, the home of British Airways, I was really just looking forward to getting off this aircraft, collecting my case and heading to the airport hotel for a decent night's sleep ahead of my flight to Phoenix tomorrow. Heading in to the British Airways domestic baggage claim area here at Terminal 5, I knew I was in for a wait. I've travelled through this domestic part of Terminal 5 for years, and it always takes British Airways ages to deliver your bags. Tonight was no different. It was nearly 1 hour. And despite my case being tagged priority, it was certainly not treated like a priority bag here because it came off nearly last. Welcome to the Premier Inn at London Heathrow Terminal 2 and 3. Yeah, I think that's what's called. I only booked this at about 10 a.m. this morning. I got a pretty good deal on it, and that included a meal deal. So breakfast from 5:30 in the morning, which is perfect. I'll be there for 5:30. And dinner is also included tonight. In fact, I even have the menu here. I'm going to quickly peruse it, and I booked a table for 7:30. As you can see, pretty standard Premier Inn. Actually get 2 beds, say they're Hypnos, but if you watched the last video that Fiona and I did for the Premier Inn at T5, it was a pretty lumpy bumpy affair, and again pretty standard bathroom, toilet, sink and a bath with a nice shower, and that's it guys. I mean, it was less than £100 on a fully flex rate because I didn't trust British Airways not to cancel this flight, and I'm here for the night. Plan is tomorrow morning to check out, get breakfast around 5:30, book another Uber over to Terminal 3, where I will then board my American Airlines flight, I hope direct across to Phoenix. So that's it, guys, from Monday. I would like to have been halfway across the Atlantic by now, but thanks to British Airways, that ain't happening. So that's a wrap for Monday. Thanks for watching.